Hello. In this video, I just wanted to talk very briefly about one part of what I would mean when I speak about a conscious practice of law. And this is kind of coming obviously from my own experience. So, and I just want to talk about it on two different levels, just in a very short, kind of simple way. And one is how we might feel as solicitors, as lawyers practicing, and also what we are actually doing. So on a day-to-day, general, very stereotypical basis, but this also comes from my own actual experience, I think the general feeling of practicing law in today's world, my own experience has predominantly been in big cities, in big firms, is that it's stressful. There's quite a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of perfectionism. I know I'm focusing on maybe the negatives here, and of course there are also plenty of positives. But there are plenty of negatives, and the research is there. Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of lawyers find it a very stressful and intense working environment. So yeah, I would say, stress, anxiety, perfectionism, fear, a lot of fear of doing things wrong. And then on a kind of a doing basis, on a day-to-day kind of level, what we are doing can often feel, again, very generally, like it's an us versus them mentality, regardless of the type of law you're practicing. You're acting for a party, you're protecting their interests, you're trying to figure out how to let them win, even regardless of whether it's litigation or not, whether it's a contract or it's family law, property law. It's really protecting your own party's interests, and you don't really care about the other party. You're kind of in a competition with them almost. You're fighting against them. Even if it's relatively benign transaction, you're still protecting your own client's interests. So that's kind of on a doing level, on a day-to-day basis. I would say there's also in terms of where you're working, there can feel like a competition, sense of competition against the other solicitors in your practice. There's often this, you're getting promoted. There's a sense of getting ahead. I mean, that's probably a common feature of many professions and careers nowadays. But certainly in big firms, there's kind of you're trying to get up the ladder, but also against other firms. You're trying to get up in the rankings with your firm. Everyone's kind of in competition with each other. There's a sense that it's very much a profit-making business, very much a commercial business. Not necessarily saying there's anything negative about making a profit, but yeah, it can sense. I think there's a sense that the law nowadays, it's a business, it's a commercial business, and I think that very much eclipses any sense of it being a vehicle of justice. I think many would agree that that's the case today. And also, just finally, I just want to mention on a day-to-day basis, in terms of the doing aspect of law, it's also about rules, regulations, and laws, obviously, but it's vast amounts of paperwork and rules. Like, and on a day-to-day basis, as a solicitor or a lawyer, you are constantly making sure that you're doing things by the book, and that can obviously bring in the anxiety and the fear, but yeah, you're constantly referring to external sources of authority, I suppose, and making sure that your work is operating within those rules. So yeah, just to talk about what I mean then about becoming more conscious and more aware, because I think that was one of the first steps for me. I think when you do start to become more conscious, you really do start to question what you're doing and how you're feeling, and wondering whether, is this the way it's supposed to be? Is there another way? And that's kind of a first step. And so you might ask questions like, well, do I need to feel stressed, anxious, afraid in my work? Is that necessary? If I want to work as a lawyer, do I need to feel these things? Can I feel completely relaxed, completely at peace, joyful in my work as a lawyer? Is that possible? And many people would say nowadays no, or those words don't really go together. But you begin to question, well, why not? Why is that not possible? And then on the doing level, you might ask, well, can I not practice law and be totally focused on collaboration, cooperation, interested in the other party, interested in, generating conversations around cooperation and taking the community's interest into account, for example. Can I also, an important one, and one that, I think can be controversial, is, can I as a lawyer rely on my own intuition and my instinctive reaction and my in relation to what I'm doing, and not constantly place all of my reliance on external forms of authority? Is there room for that? Is it possible? Um, I'm sure many do, of course, do that, but they wouldn't say it. It's like, can we actually make that important? My inner sense of what needs to happen here in the situation for my client. So it's just a short little video to bring these issues up and talk about them. And thank you for listening.